Hello everyone, welcome to the Everything Dodgeball podcast. I'm here in the basement in Austria, in Vienna, with Gio.
We are in a basement in a sports hall.
That's the best setup I've ever had.
So great. We're in a janitor's room. There's no camera in here, but just to paint the scene, there's some all-purpose cleaner, and a bunch of like Kleenex rolls and some bleach, and then a bunch of toilet rolls and like vacuums and stuff. So really, really sexy.
Yeah, I think it sets the scene quite nice. So Gio, you've been joining the Austrian League for today since Northern Ireland is not the top spot in Europe anymore. Oh. You've decided to come over to Austria, play for the Nasty Nutcrackers. I think you're just here because you wanted that feeling of winning.
Oh yeah, is that it? I wanted to see what it was like to be the best of the best.
You know? Probably.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's just what I've been told by someone.
You know, I mean, we'll see in Limerick, right? But
True.
For now, you are the best of the best, and it was nice to see. It's a really intimidating. All the teams are really good here, and there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of people, and everyone's so into it. So it's, Northern Ireland has a great scene, but it's like there are very good players, but you guys have there's so many people here. Holy crap. Northern Ireland is like, there's like 100 people in the whole country that play dodgeball,
Yeah, I mean, that's really fun that you said that, because for us, it still feels really small, and it really is really small. So, but it's been growing over the last few years, and I think this is the first day of the league, 24-25. So I think that was a really good start to the season, and there are lots of new teams. There are some Czech teams as well. There are lots of young players coming in. Lots of players that are between 14 and 16. So I think that is really a really hopeful sign for the Austrian dodgeball scene, which has been missing for the last few years. So we're really happy that we're starting to build up that base, and it's great that it looks good from the outside. So you had 2 games now with us against Wolfpack. So basically you played the final of the last year's Austrian Dodgeball League, and then against the Ninjas. So Gio, how was it?
It was, I'm not a world-class player. I'm just I'm a casual player. I think I'm decent, for the amount of effort that I put in, but I wouldn't say I'm anywhere near to where you guys are. But it was really fun, honestly. Like, everyone's so supportive. You can put me in any situation. I'll have a great time, but it was just, the players, I love, when it's just like such intense moments, and I felt like we had so many of those little tiny moments like that. That's what makes the game so fun for me, and to be involved in that, and also to like learn your guys' ways of calling systems, and how you like, I don't know, just the way you play the game is a little bit different. And just when you've been playing a sport now, I've been playing for 4 years, in Northern Ireland only, and so to play 4 years in one country and to play finally somewhere else. Well, I've been playing in Prague.
Because I see that.
I was in I was in Prague for a month for work, and I was playing with the crocodiles, some sort of green animal, and I played with them for a month every Tuesday, and they also had a very weird way. It was incredibly inefficient. I would not recommend the system. It was like 1 3 3 4 5 2, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
That is really funny, because I think so many nations sort of evolved their own calling system, and it's so weird. Some do it with their fingers, some point at stuff, some do a mixture of talking. We have letters and numbers. I think ours is quite efficient. I don't know.
I don't
know how you do it in Northern Ireland.
Is very efficient too. It's like you just say, like, what you say, who you're throwing at, and you're saying who's holding, basically. And then if you're doing if someone's walking up, you just say the name of the person who's walking up. So it's very straight. It's also good for beginners, I think. But in Czech Republic, what they do is they so if you put the number 1 on the ball, it's the person on the left. Number 2 is the person on the right. And if you do like a fist, then it's the person in the middle. So that's pretty straightforward. But then apart from that, then if you have 4 balls and you're doing like 2 left hold or something, like you're throwing at number 1 and left holds, or you guys have a couple of calls like that, they like say the number of the person in order. So they go like 1 4 6.
Really?
2. So basically, so you have to remember. So I'm, I don't even speak Czech. So then like 2 3 4 or whatever. I'm like, what? And so it's just these 4 numbers, and then you throw, and it was not.
Okay, that's really interesting. I think maybe in a few years it's more probably 1 or 2 may just surpass the other ones and everyone be calling the same way. But it's fun that everyone does it differently.
Yeah.
But I think the way it is for us, it evolved naturally and just sort of established itself.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite efficient. We work it over always. And
I mean, the Austrians, you guys are very strict, you're very regimented. So, and I saw that today, you guys are, walk up to the thing. Like, that is not something we do in Ireland.
Yeah, we didn't do that in the past, and I wasn't a fan of that. Like,
because it gives away a little bit.
It gives away a little bit, but we have a lot of flexibility in between.
Right.
Also, we're not always throwing at 3. Sometimes you throw at 2. You also have a little bit individual flexibility, but it just gives you more rhythm. And the thing is that we are really known for is the faking and throwing at the same time. And since we release a lot of single balls and really go for hits and not don't want to be caught, it's really important that the fakes come in at the same time. And that is something I see from other nations, that they don't coordinate those fakes really well. And if you don't, good catchers will always catch it. So I think it gives away a little bit, but in the end, it's worth the cost, apparently, at least for now. And
definitely.
And I don't really like or enjoy doing it, but I just realized it's better this way.
It's good for beginners too, right?
Yeah.
It's like it helps you coordinate it.
Yeah. And it makes a little bit more structure, has its flaws, but for now we're sticking with it.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Yeah. I think today, so we played 2 quite good teams in the Austrian league, and it was, I'd say,
nail biters.
Yeah, a couple nail biters. So we had our young players join the first league, a few who did their debut today, and that was really fun. And our old
very good
guys like Basti and me, who are now the old dogs because Andy and Flo are out. So we were just playing quite randomly and letting them lift a lot of the burden, and they really did that, and that was just really fun.
They did some great plays. They really carried their weight. I wish I could have carried my weight. Okay.
You did. I think you absolutely did. I think it's really tough to get into a team that is really been training a lot together.
Calls and stuff.
Yeah.
I was just fumbling a couple.
No, and I think you did really well because you didn't fuck anything up too drastically, and you survived. You made some hits. You made a great turnaround, 2 versus 5 into a 2.
That was really
2. So that was
2, 10 seconds left, and we just smacked the crap out of them.
So
and ended it 2-2, and that was
the
great.
intuitive play was absolutely there. And the rest was absolutely
not
solid.
The highlight of the day. It was the 5-on-2, 10 seconds left.
So you're gonna clear it.
That was. I don't know if that's online anywhere.
It is. Well, it's all
straight. I'm gonna go.
Someone hopefully has commentated on it. So,
there's commentators? No,
I hope so.
You guys are evolved, man.
So the thing is, Max Golder does our stream, and he has like a streaming.
That guy, thing. The world guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So he did the thing for the World Cup as well. So our stream is.
Nice.
Not to brag, but much better than any other things I've seen. I've watched the British Dodgeball streams now a little bit, and they've gotten better. They got the angles better, but
I don't think we even have one.
Yeah. I think it's fun, and it's so good to learn as well, to watch some film and improve from that. So I think it's really helpful, and it's a lot of work for Max, to be honest. So I don't think it's worth that, but it's amazing that he does it, and we love it. And the players who are not here always cheer on, so it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's also fun to do a little bit of commentating and some shit talking, which I personally really enjoy. So, Gio, I brought you here into this basement, and you just showed me the trailer for a very, very, I think, a film everyone in Dodgeball, a movie everyone in Dodgeball is really looking forward to. So I've met you in Graz basically a little bit before that, because you went to Vienna and visited us for a training session.
JP did that.
True, you weren't here.
I was not there, but that was.
But so we met in Graz and got to get to know each other very good through that week, and it was really fun. I think you did a lot of running. I think you did more exercise than anyone of the players there with the camera work and the interviews and stuff.
Who did more exercise than me? The one guy who probably did more was JP.
Yeah.
He was walking around with that rig. I don't know if anyone saw that guy.
I've seen him.
He is walking around. That guy is a machine. He never stops.
Absolutely. So you have no spare players in there, and it was just 6 days, 7 days filming in the heat. And
we had 3 weeks of filming before that.
Really?
So we were at the end of our rope already before coming here. We were already exhausted before getting to Austria. So it was like, that was like part 2. We had a whole part 1 that no one is even really aware of.
And hopefully we'll see it soon. So Gio, take me to through the story, how did you get into, obviously dodgeball is like the hobby you've been picking up for the last few years, but you've been a filmmaker before, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm an editor, a documentary editor. That's my job. That's what pays the bills. And I'd love to be a documentary director. And I feel like when you edit, I've been editing now for in my whole life, but professionally for 5 years or whatever. And I've done 5 feature films. So when you've edited that many, you kind of start to be like, well, probably make something, at this point. I think I got the chops for it. So, so, when you want to make a documentary, the first thing that comes to your mind is like something that's near and dear to your heart. And dodgeball is something that to me is incredibly important to my life. And I didn't think I'd make a film about dodgeball just because, it's a silly sport and whatever. But I moved to Northern Ireland from Los Angeles, which is where I was based originally, and I opened my small company called Red Wolf Films. We're a little post-production house, just 4 editors, and we edit all day, and we just make films, and it's a great atmosphere, and it's me and my mom and I put it together.
That is awesome.
It's a little family business. My best friend Finn is also an editor there, so she's awesome. We have Teresa, who's great. Teresa was actually at the World Cup. Yeah. She was doing the sound.
Yeah, man.
So we're just this little tight-knit group of people, and we just edit all day. But I moved to Northern Ireland, and as an immigrant person, I think a lot of people from Northern Ireland, when I first moved there, were like, why are you here? Like, it was like,
that's a question.
Yeah. I was like from LA, and I also lived in San Francisco for a while. And it was like, why are you in Belfast? Like,
the weather was just too nice.
Yeah, I was like, actually, that's partially, it's not too far from the truth, is that the weather is so nice that there's constant wildfires.
Okay. Yeah.
My house almost burned down like 20 times.
Okay, and that's not so nice. Yeah?
And it was terrifying. And like to get a call from the fire, and my house was on the last house before the national park in Los Angeles on Topanga Canyon. And so it's like, literally like the fire department would take over my house and set up shop in my bedroom and fight the fire from my room.
So we should do a documentary about that. I mean, that is awesome.
Arnold Schwarzenegger already did that, so I don't know if I can beat him. I'm trying. Arnold Schwarzenegger would love, because he's from Braz originally. So maybe we'll get him into dodgeball. I don't know. But Arnold Schwarzenegger did a really brilliant documentary on that. But yeah, it was intense, and it was just fires, and also like it's so expensive to live in LA. And when COVID happened, I got locked down. I was going to Berkeley, which is a university in San Francisco, and I was doing my stuff there, and it was just so hot and fires, and the sky was orange from how many fires there were. I don't know if you've ever seen those pictures, but it was orange, and you couldn't go outside because it was so, you had to be in an air conditioned place, otherwise you'd choke on your own breath. And then COVID happened, so you couldn't go outside anymore. You couldn't go to the library, you couldn't go to the thing. And then the reason there's so many fires is because the electric companies are all privatized, and so then they don't really maintain their shit, and so then all the electric poles and stuff start exploding when the heat gets really hot. So then the power goes off, so you can't go outside, there's no power, you can't go anywhere because of COVID, and I'm paying $1,500 a month to live in some shed, in a shack, and I'm like, why am I paying, this much money? I have to pay $10 every time I want to take the subway, and I'm paying all this money. If I want to get a taco, it's $17. Like, why am I doing this? This is terrible. And so then I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. So I called my mom. I said, I'm moving. I don't know what you're doing, but get me out of this. This is hell. And we're originally Italian. So she said, well, if you're moving, I'm moving. And so then we moved. And she said, I'm moving to Belfast. I was like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Sure, you do that. I don't know why she wanted to move to Belfast. I was like, she knew a guy there that she wanted to work with, and like had liked Ireland. And just she was like, I was like, I'm gonna go to Berlin. I'm gonna do art and whatever in Berlin, and I'll go do that. And I moved to Belfast with her to just help her move her shit into her house. And she has dogs and cats, so we shipped the whole house, everything. We moved. We sold the house because also with COVID, what happened is our like the everyone wants to like not be in the city anymore. So then we could sold our house pretty easily because no one wanted to be in the city. We were on the outskirts, and no one wanted to be in the city anymore. So we sold our house pretty quickly. And I'm like, great, we can get the out of here. We had our Italian passport, so it was right before Brexit kicked in. So we moved there December 20th, and Brexit kicked in December 31st. So
Okay.
Indiana Jones, sliding,
Still in. Yeah.
sliding
Awesome.
under, having the hat, all the cats in the plane, this shipping container with just everything from your entire life. Just put it in a big old box, and then we shipped it, and then it took like 3 months for that big box of stuff to get there. So I spent like 3 months in Northern Ireland with my mom in some cabin in the woods, and it was just so great. And it was just like me and my mom hanging out, making soup. I'd go on walks with our dog. It was like super calm. It was so cheap and not expensive, and everyone was so nice to me. And maybe I didn't really understand what they were saying because the Northern Irish accent is just insane, especially the people in the countryside. They're crazy. But I was like, this is awesome. And then my mom got her house in Northern Ireland and helped her move in there. And at that point, I'd been there for like 4 or 5 months, and I was like, I'm gonna I'd started making friends and stuff. And I'm like, I'm gonna deroot my whole life and get out of Northern Ireland. Like, no, I want to stay here and see what I can do.
So you never went to Berlin?
Never went to Berlin.
Okay.
I never ended up leaving there. So then I stayed in Belfast. But the one thing, this is a long story to get to the point of what I was saying, where Dodgeball comes in, is that basically when I started moving into the city, people would ask me that question, like, why would you move? And I'd tell them the story I just told you. And they look at me like I was lying, or like, all my dreams to move to San Francisco. Why would you give? Like, it's my dream. Why would you give up your?
But it's pretty much the opposite. So I think it's really a good choice to go to another English speaking country that is the opposite to LA. Northern Ireland seems like that.
I just was like, it was like low risk in terms of just like, I was like, what am I going to die if I stay here another year? Like, no, let's try it. Let's see what this place is. Awesome. People are so nice, it's so inexpensive. Let's try it. But all the people from Northern Ireland looked at me like I was some like UFO. Like, I felt like so out of place. And I was like, what the hell? So all my friends were all like Spanish people, French people, German people. Like, like half my friends are still French people. So it's like all these international. I had no Northern Irish friends, none, because they didn't. They were just like, you are weird. Yeah, like, who the fuck?
No one comes here.
Like, San Francisco, what a load of crap. Like, you must be full of yourself. I'm like, no, I don't know. It's not that they never said fuck you, but it was just like they wouldn't make the effort, so then I'm not going to make the effort if you don't want to. But all the international people were not. And the first group of people that accepted me that were Northern Irish was the Northern Irish dodgeball team. And I found that so interesting. I thought that was like, I walked in there and I immediately felt like,
But did you play any dodgeball before?
No.
Okay. So how did you find dodgeball in Belfast?
I used to be working when I first moved there, before I opened Red Wolf as a company, I worked for Allstate, which is a like insurance company. I used to be a computer programmer.
Okay.
And I got really bored very quickly because I don't like doing
monotonous
stuff. But I worked there, and there's this lovely guy named Evan Spence, who I think played in Euros for Ireland. But Evan worked for Allstate, and I think he said something to me like, "Oh, I'm off early today," or something. I don't know. Like, "Oh, where are you going?" "I'm going to dodgeball practice." It's like, what the fuck? I was like, "You guys do that like that?" And this is in the middle of like COVID, like not in the middle of COVID, but like COVID had just ended. The lockdowns had been lifted like a month prior, so I was like, "You can like group up with people and like do sports." Like, I used to play a lot of basketball because I love basketball. Like, yeah, like we just throw shit at each other. I'm like, okay. So like, where do you do that? When? He's like, oh, Monday night, 7 to 9 in Valley Hack Community Center. Like, and I show up. Like, yeah, okay. So then I showed up. I went the next week with Evan. Showed up there, the nicest group of people ever. Like, I show up, they're like, this is how you throwing the ball wrong. Like, let me show you. Like, this is this guy, he started here. Like, they really like wanted me to feel like I was like part of this thing, even though I was not. And they just were like, this is this guy, and this is my wife or whatever, and I play here and I play there, and this is what the wing does. This is great. These people are so nice to me, and they're all Northern Irish. I was only used to like Spanish people being nice to me, or French people, and I finally had some Northern Irish people like being like, "Hey, like you should hang out with us." Like, okay, I'd really love to hang out with you. So then I went back. I went the first time, and then I went a second time, and Smurf and Matthew Bell both threw a ball at my pinky, and it snapped in half. second
a classic
practice.
dodgeball story. Yeah.
And they looked at me, and I went to the emergency room that night at like 10 p.m. Very nice, by the way. They drove me there. That also was a very kind moment. They were so sweet. One of them drove my car to my house for me because I couldn't drive because my hand was broken.
It's just a pinky. And you were the dodgeball back then, so now you would be able to.
Well, it was like, I don't know, like it was like out, like it was like.
Then you have to put it back in.
I didn't know. I was
okay.
I was laughing.
I was
laughing, but I didn't know what was happening. It was like purple. I don't know. I'd never broken a bone in my life, and then my pinky was just. And so they thought mentally, they're like, and this was like in December or something. So they said it was practice right before Christmas, and so that guy's never coming back because we broke his hand, and well, I guess we lost a guy. And like 2 months later, my hand had completely healed. I put the thing and did the massage and whatever that you have to do, and my hand was completely back to normal. And I was like, well, I know they're there Mondays 7 to 9, Ballyhackmore. Let's go back. And I show up and they're like, wow, we didn't think you would come back.
Yeah, I think that's really how every dodgeball player's journey starts. And that's how you know if someone is into dodgeball.
Yeah.
If you break your first finger and you come back and you can't wait to come back, then you're...
And I've never broken one since. And I hope I never do. I dislocated my knee, but that's...
that's fine. It's just
put it
a
back
knee.
in,
It's not a pinky,
Just too flexible, I guess. I don't know. But then that was the first place that to me was like embraced. I felt, and now I have Northern Irish friends because once you live there for like 4 years, Northern Ireland is like 3 cats. There's not that many people. So once you get like street cred, it's really weird. I've never experienced it, but once you have like street cred, people know who you are.
Okay.
And it's like, you are this guy. And like people now, they meet me, but since I know their friend, oh, you're blah, blah, blah's friend. Like, yeah, like, oh, okay, nice to meet you. Like, yeah. So now since I've been there for 4 years, I'm no longer this weird guy. But when I was there for 2 months, they're like, who the hell is this guy? Okay. So now, I've found my way around, and it's now all Northern Irish people are very nice to me. But that was the first place.
So you have to break a pinky to be accepted.
I think that was kind of like a ritual, like a rite of passage.
Yeah, I think you probably get different sports and different injuries, but once you stay there, despite the weather, and you break something and you stay there as well, you're one of them.
Okay,
fair enough.
My thing with the weather thing is that's the first thing everyone says. Why would you move to Northern Ireland? It's so sunny in San Francisco, and it's so lovely in LA or the beach and whatever. And my retort is, if the only thing you have to complain about is that it rains, Jesus Christ, you got a good life.
Definitely.
If it's just it just rains too much. God damn. In LA, when it rained, we were like doing like rain dances, like, please, because I can only shower for 60 seconds or the fire department's going to find me. It's like, you're living in this weird like society of like scarcity, and it's just so weird. Whereas in Northern Ireland, it's like, yeah, it's like, if it rains, would I like it to be sunnier? Like, sure, but also like, if I break my pinky, it's free. I broke my hand. That was also really great. I broke my hand. It cost $0. If I did that in America, it would have cost me like $6,000.
Yeah.
Because I don't have money to pay insurance, so it's like...
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so we got you into dodgeball.
Yeah.
And then, since you're a movie editor, you thought there has been one dodgeball documentary, which is not a documentary, which is just a movie, which we've all seen, which we all love or hate, but it's about time we get another movie. So we had a little, like Austria, we had for the World Cup in 2018 in New York, we had a little documentary, which is like 5 to 10 minutes about our story, basically. And we had just one guy with a camera following us and did a little, it was a little documentary, and it was really awesome. And I still up to this day, like to revisit that once a year, and it just brings back so many memories. And I think every dodgeball player loves dodgeball. And I think that is something like a really great combination where you really found the love for dodgeball and you have that skill. Bringing that together is just it's basically every dodgeball's dream.
Yeah.
So, and everything that gets dodgeball more recognition and shows that it is a serious sport, even though only 100 people are playing it in Northern Ireland, but they're really good at it. So I think that is just amazing. And I saw the work you did at Worlds, which was absolutely incredible. Again, like all the camera work, all the stuff in the heat, but since you're from LA, it was easy. So you finally got a little bit of feedback.
I
So
got my sweat. I built it up. I built
yeah.
my resistance with warmth.
So talk me a little bit through it. What does it take you? We talked off camera, off audio before, and you said it's like 40 weeks of just editing
Yeah.
and a lot more work before that. So
Yeah.
what does it take to make a Dodgeball documentary?
I mean, I can start from the top, and the top is three.
Okay, I don't know if I have that much time, but start. I just interrupt after 2.5 hours.
No,
No, start from the top.
it's a pretty quick story.
Okay, that's
It's
good.
not. It's 3 years, but a very scarce moments. But it was the reason I wanted to do it was because and I think that's the best place to start. Is like why do it? And I like dodgeball, but it's not something that I would. There's like people starving and dying, and war. So like, why wouldn't you want to make a film about that instead, right? And it's like, why do you choose this sport? And it was because we just finished the league, and we were. It was my first year playing dodgeball, and we finished the league, and there was like a social party afterwards. And I'm at some bar, and all these like older people show up. They're like 35, 40-year-old people. I don't know who they are. I've never seen them, but they just show up to the social event, and they know all the people, and they sit at the table with me. And I'm at this table, and I'm with like 6 people I've never ever met. But they all played dodgeball, but they all retired. And I was like, Jesus, there's like, oh, this is sport. There's people that retired. That's crazy. Like people retire from dodgeball. Like you don't just keep going. Like, no, this guy's knee fell out like 8 times, so he's going to stop coming. And they all come around to the table, and they've had a couple drinks, and I can just feel the passion at the table. And like, I feel like some of them are on like the verge of like tears, like, I married my husband I met him at Euros in 2011 in Sweden. And I was like, so they're just saying, I don't know if that's where the Euros were, but there's this my best man. I met him, and and dodgeball is my life. And it was just these people. Like, my favorite memory is when I coached at Euros in 2018, and we played against Italy. And I was like, what is happening? Like, this is like some like weird just thing that people are just love it. Like, just they make their life this thing. And I've never seen that in my life. Like, I played basketball for 12 years. Never did I go to a social event after basketball, and like the best man is like the point guard, or like the center is your like wife. It's just like, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So these people all were like just like telling me about like how important it was. And I was like, this is so interesting. I was like, this is such an interesting thing. And so I go to Adam and Josh, who are 2 players from the thing, and I was like, where do you guys do like training for like this international thing? Like, oh, like next week we have like trials. We're doing trials for Euros. I was like, you guys are you're doing it? Like, yeah, we play in the World Cup. Like, okay, or like in the European Cup thing. I'll kind of like show up with a camera and like stick a microphone on it and like see what happens. And he was like, sure. So I remember I walked home that day, and I wrote a little note in my phone, and I just felt so inspired in that moment. And I feel like I always have little ideas for films I want to make, but I never really execute on them because it's scary. I almost didn't execute on this one. It's scary to make a film. It's like to just give yourself in and just put in all this time and effort into something that could just be nothing.
Yeah.
But I wrote in my phone, like in the notes page, and I pinned it, and I still have it pinned to this day. I wrote like, don't forget the feeling you're having right now, because the level of inspiration you are feeling is incredible, and I don't want you to forget that. And whenever I was feeling unmotivated, I'll go back to that message and I read it again, because in that moment I felt like the most inspired ever. Like, I just felt like I felt the feeling that these people were feeling, and I was like, if I can convey that feeling on a screen, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not really about the sport to me. It's about the sport. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
It's about the people.
Yeah.
It's about like, what the hell? Like, why are you guys all married to each other? Why do you guys all like you go and play dodgeball, and then you end up like dating someone? It's like you all date each other. You go to like some after party somewhere, you fuck some guy, some girl, then you get 3 years later, you're married, and they have dodgeball babies, and then they play in the league. And it's like this just cycle of love for dodgeball, and people love each other because they love dodgeball. And then they like do other things together, and they plan trips together because of dodgeball. So it's just like, it's great, like just atmosphere. I don't know. And so then I brought my camera to that thing. I brought my friend Finn, and and I brought my cousin as a third camera, and we just set up 3 cameras in this like sports hall in Northern Ireland, and I stuck a microphone on Sean, who's the coach, and on like one of the players, and I was like, let's just see what this looks like. It looked terrible because I'm not a camera guy, and neither is Finn or my cousin, so it looked like shit, but it was decent, and it was like, and I was just filming slow-mo stuff and like getting some shots, and like I was trying to think about like how do I make the shot look good? How do I, and I could see there was something there. And then the way that the guy was talking, I could hear the coach on the mic and like the way he's like explaining people play the game and stuff. And I found that so interesting just as someone who wasn't that into dodgeball at that point. It was like, this is so cool. Like they really take this super serious. And so then the next step to that is, okay, well, I have a premise. I have a thing. Now I need to like get money. I need to convince someone to pay me to do this. So that's a whole other thing. I want to make this thing, give me money so that I can do it. And so then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to, like, first thing you got to do is invest your own money. So I rented a camera, really nice camera, and I got 6 of the Northern Irish players and I stuck them in a basement, in Northern Ireland. I got a smoke machine, a bunch of chalk, and I threw these dodgeballs at them with the smoke machine and the chalk, and I had it just explode in like 240 frames per second, and like filmed them in this basement with the help of my friend Darren, who's a great DP in Northern Ireland. And so we shot that, and then I made a sizzle reel, which is not what you saw. I made a whole different one about the lead up to Euros, but it was like different and it was weird and it wasn't great. It was like not my. It was decent. It was like enough for me to be like, okay, there's something, but it wasn't great. It was just like the wrong tone and the wrong everything. But it was fine. It was like enough to me to be like, okay, like this is great. And then I couldn't get funded, and I'd applied to a couple things, but the film industry went on strike, and just there was all this shit, and no one had money to do projects, and there was no money flowing. So then 2022, I think, or 2023 was when that was. So I couldn't get money at that point. And then I went on a holiday, and I met JP, who is the cameraman who made this film. And I met him while I was on a boat in the Caribbean. I was going whale watching.
Okay.
And jumping in the water with whales for my mom's birthday, because that was her dream. So then we went and swam with whales, where you just jump in the water with these giant sperm whales. And JP was there, and JP shows up, and he has like maybe like 200 grand worth of like camera equipment. He starts loading it onto the boat, and these boats are really small because it's like, you don't want to freak the whales out, so there's only like 4 people on these boats. So it's me and my mom, and then JP and his dad. And this guy comes on, I'm like, who the hell is this? Like Spielberg showing up? Like, this is like, the whale documentary. Like, what is he doing? He just shows up with all these cameras. I was like, Jesus Christ. And he comes up to me, he's like, can I interview you? Like, interview me? Like, why? I want to just talk to you. He films me on the boat, records me, does an interview with me on the boat for the whale watching thing. And then he goes, oh, I wasn't rolling that whole time. And I was like a 20-minute interview. And I was like, why? Why weren't you rolling? I was like, well, we can do it again. Like, no, I did it on purpose. Like, what? You mean you did it on purpose? Like, well, I don't really, like, this is how I relate to people, through the camera. So I wanted to get to know you, but I didn't really want to record it. So I just asked you a bunch of questions. So now I know who you are. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, I like this guy. He's so interesting. And so what I did from that is JP and I were on this boat for like 7 days. Every
7 days whale watching.
Yeah, 7. It was a lot.
Oh,
yeah. A lot of whales. And it was like a military. And you wake up early in the morning, suit up in the wetsuit, jump in the water, swim with the whale, jump out of the water. The boat brings you to another thing. You have to also have this, like, because there's a whole other documentary that we've done. Basically, this guy who does the whale watching has a bunch of whale footage, and we were doing a documentary about called Deep Rising. Jason Momoa did the narration on it, which is pretty cool. And so this guy from the Caribbean had sent us all of his whale footage because we needed it for one of the environmental sequences. And so he had sent us all of his footage. And so then my mom became his friend through that film. And so then through that, he was like, oh, come on the boat and like jump in the whale. And so, so I was on this boat for like 6 days with JP. And, there's a lot of very slow moments because it's just, you have to listen for the whale and hear the thing. Oh, okay, the whale's like 10 miles this way. Okay, let's go listen again. And so it was a lot of time to talking. And at some point I started talking about dodgeball. And I was like, yeah, I'm working on this thing, but I'm not a great cameraman. Like I'm struggling with it. And he's like, dude, that sounds so cool. I love this idea. Like, this is awesome. And I was like, really? Like, you think it's cool? And he was like, just the way you talk about it, like, you have so much passion for this thing. And I was like, yeah, I love it, but I can't get it. And he was like, we're going to make it happen. We're going to do it. I want to help you make this thing. And I was like, are you serious? Like, you want to help me make this thing? Really? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay. And that was in like February. And I didn't do anything until May because it was terrifying, to like book flights and camera. You know, I spent so much money that I didn't have, on this project, but I needed something substantial so that I could make what you see, and that I can really go to investors and say, look, because the biggest issue I was having is that, okay, you invest all this money, you follow Northern Ireland, they lose in the group stage. What are you going to do? I'm like, well, I don't fucking know. If they lose, then that sucks, I guess. I don't know. But there's probably still a story in there. And so that was like a critique, like, you know, so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take all the risk. I'm going to film the whole thing. I'm going to take the whole thing, whatever place they come in. I can't hear that anymore because I've already filmed it. They came in second or third or first or wherever. I know they're going to make it past the group stage. So I will just take all the risk on my shoulders and we'll do it. And so JP very kindly offered to do the gig basically for very little money. And I, you know, I'm eternally grateful to him. Without him, it was not possible. And he says, okay, it's cheaper for me to just ship you my equipment than to rent it. And I was like, okay, and, you know, ship me your equipment. What does that mean? I didn't know. And I would assume I was going to get like 2 boxes of stuff. And then I get like 4 boxes, and I get 8 boxes, and I get 12, and I get 16 boxes. And these were 8 boxes, like suitcases. And my house just ends up becoming this just like safe of just equipment. And I was like, JP, like, what the, like, how do I get this to Austria? Because I'm in my house and I have 30s. I'm having like a panic attack, basically. I'm having all this shit in my house.
It's absolutely random, and I love it.
It's like $400,000 worth of camera in my house. I was like, where did you get this stuff? Like, what is this? This is crazy. I don't know how much money with the stuff. There's way more money, you know, than I was. I'm like, I'm going to lock all of my windows, I'm going to lock all my door. Like, what the fuck? You know, and he's just sending, and just more shit keeps coming. And then he arrives, and we shoot everything in Northern Ireland. We shoot all the, you know, we do like little cameos on all the players, and again, everyone was so collaborative. They loved it. They loved it. We want to follow, you know, what do you do for a job? You know, follow you around that, your wife, your husband, you're this, you know, how do you, you know, what do you do in the morning to have fun? You know, just like following these people and like feeling them as characters. I think that's the main part of the film. Is not, it's the sport, but, you know, I'm not a big sports guy. I don't care about football. I don't care about, but if you show me a sports documentary, I really liked, for example, The Last Dance on Netflix, right? And it was like, that was because I liked the characters. I liked Evan. I liked, you know, they had these like specific characteristics of certain players, and I wanted to watch it because of who those people were. I didn't want to watch it because of the sport. And so that's what I want to do here, is I want to do like these kind of cameos on these people, make you fall in love with who these people are and how dedicated they are to this super random thing, and then watch them kick some ass. And I don't think there's anything better than that.
That is absolutely awesome.
Right.
No, that is, I mean, the whole story, I'm glad we started 3 years ago, because I think it's a story really fitting for dodgeball. Like, it's completely random. You meet a guy on a boat and he sends you all his equipment.
I met him once. I never met him again after that.
Yeah, that is completely weird. It's basically, it's as if he was a dodgeball as well, and he wasn't. So, but he definitely meets the dodgeball criteria.
Who sends you $200,000? I don't know how much money. Like, a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So a guy you met once on a boat.
You're a really trustworthy guy.
I don't know. He got a good vibe.
That's just really high. Yeah. Who knows? But that is just.
JP is always high.
Yeah, fair enough.
On life.
Yeah, on life, on love, and now on dodgeball.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and he became a dodgeball fan after this. So that made me happy.
That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, if this movie works out and it's great, and I hope it becomes really successful, then you have to do a movie of behind the scenes and how it started, because I think that story deserves its own movie.
It was okay. So we're in Northern Ireland. We have all this shit in my house, you know, bags and stuff. And I booked 3 Ryanair flights, one for me, one for Teresa, who was an assistant editor at Red Wolf, and then one for JP. I booked these 3 flights. And you know, Ryanair, you show up with 1 centimeter more of a bag. And they're like, you motherfucker, you didn't tell us about that's $80,000 for that bag. You're not allowed on the plane. I was like, I have 72 bags of just stuff, lithium batteries, a crane or whatever, a doll, all this just stuff, the mirrors. I was like, well, how am I going to get? So I go on the Ryanair website and you're only allowed like 2 bags each. And I was like, how am I going to do it? So I just put in, I have a shit ton of ski equipment and I just put like 14 ski equipments. And I was like, ski equipment, ski equipment, ski equipment. And because it looked sort of like ski, because it was tripods, it's just these long bags or like this long, like, as long as you're widespread of your hands, these long ass bags. There's a bunch of skis. I have a bunch of skis and sports, and this is I don't know what but just put in work. So they let you, apparently Ryanair, you can put infinite amounts of ski equipment on the plane. So there was no limit. If you want a big suitcase, you can only have like 2 or 3. But ski equipment is just apparently I'm going skiing in the middle of August.
Obviously
in Graz.
And it was the perfect weather for it.
So yeah. So I do that, and then I go online and I want to rent a van. In Austria, to rent a van is very complicated, and I don't drive manual. I drive automatic. I don't drive manual. So I go online, and like the automatic vans are like $2,500 or something for like a week. And I was like, I don't have $2,500. And meanwhile, the manual van is like $600. I was like, okay, I can afford $600. I can't afford $2,500. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to learn to drive manual. And I had 2 days to learn. So I go, my friend Finn drives, who's my best friend and editor at Red Wolf. She was like, well, I'll help you out. So this is very collaborative.
Yeah.
So we go in her car, after work at like 7 p.m. and she just takes me to like an empty parking lot. And she teaches me to drive manual in her little tiny, like little baby car. And I was like, okay, well, I have an 18 cubic meter van waiting for me in Austria. Hopefully that's close enough to something that I can do. And thankfully I had my friend Lily, who is Austrian. She's living in Linz, but she drove up very kindly and helped me with that first day with the manual van. So again, she's not a dodgeball.
Yeah.
But I knew her from before. And so she actually drove up and helped me. And the first day, it was like me and her switching off of the manual while I got in the flow of it. We arrived. We go to we rent this van it's called funcar.at. Shout out to Funcar. And I just show up and I'm like, yeah, so we ran out of the small vans, but we have this massive one. And I was like, even bigger than that? So they show me this just incredibly big van. I'm like, I don't need all that, but if it's the only thing you got, like, we'll charge you the same amount, but we just don't have the smaller one anymore. So they give me this big van, and Austrian streets are like this big. They're so tiny, and I'm in this big fucking van. I've never driven I keep stalling. It's horrible. And I was afraid I was going to break that thing. So it's me, JP, Teresa, and Lily. And we're just on this Austrian adventure. And then Lily leaves at some point because, she has shit to do. She's a singer. She went back to Linz to do her job. But that was incredibly helpful. So again, a very collaborative.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Effort. And so then we show up there. And we just filmed the whole thing. And JP and I had headsets on with Teresa. Teresa was in charge of sound, and me and JP did camera. He had the rig. I had a second camera from the sky. And then the group stage was very helpful because we'd never filmed dodgeball together before. We never did any tests or scouting or anything. And so then we had these headsets, and we kind of came up with like signals that we would say to each other, like, okay, red zone Ireland, green zone, so we had different areas in the thing. So I would tell him, I'm covering this without having to say the whole sentence. I'd just say red, Ireland, green, you, whatever. And so he would know I'm covering this, and he doesn't know the rules to dodgeball, but I do. And so I know, if it's 4 balls on one side and there's 2 people left on the other side and they have 1 ball, the guy with the ball is probably going to be the one, like 75% chance you're all going to throw at the guy with the ball. Right. And so I was like, okay, they're going to throw this guy. Or like, sometimes you just have a feeling, you know who they're going to throw at because that guy's the scariest because you can tell. So he wasn't able to never play dodgeball. So through the headset, I'd be like, they're going to throw at this guy, film that guy. I'm going to film them throwing, you film them catch. It was a big collaboration between JP and I. And I don't think I've ever been more exhausted in my life. I was completely wrecked by the end of that. And then we also rented more equipment in Graz from a lovely place that charged us almost basically nothing. And so that place heard my thing, and they were like, oh, like that sounds really cool. We'll just give it to you for like a third of the price. So I bought like $5,000 worth of equipment for like nothing, which was great. And then I also convinced the drone pilot from Italy to drive up. And he was like, this is how much I cost. And I was like, well, I don't have that. And he was like, you know what? This sounds really cool. I like you. I'll just drive up there and you just pay me what you can. And I was like, okay, I can pay you like this much. And he was like, that is not enough, but don't worry about it. I want to do this thing. It sounds really cool. If you ever make a film again, just promise you'll want to work with me again. And I was like, sure, man. I was like, if I ever make a movie again, you are on the crew. I promise. So he drove up, he drove 11 hours or something. I got him a hotel in Graz. He stayed with me where I was staying. And it was just like there's just this crew of like 5 banditos, doing this thing. And I got back home. That was a whole adventure getting everything back on the plane. Again, we almost missed our flight. Some angel it felt like there was some karma.
Someone wanted you to do that.
Usually you go to the check-in desk and there's like a queue of like 70 million people. And if you go, guys, I'm going to miss my flight, they don't care because everyone's going to miss the flight, not just you. And I'm literally like, I paid so much money for all this ski equipment and I paid all this money for all this shit and all these flights. And I have no money left in my bank. If we miss this flight, I literally don't know how we are getting back home. And I go to the desk. I'm like, please, I need you to check my shit in because your check-in closes 40 minutes before the flight and it is 55 minutes before the flight. And I'm not getting through that line in 50 minutes. And the guy goes, yeah, we'll sort it out. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, what time is it? I was like, it's like whatever, the flight leaves and they said, 50-50 chance you don't make the flight, but we'll do our best. Come with me. Super calm, checks in our bags. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my God. We get to the gate. The flight's delayed by like 3 hours or something. I was like, okay, well, I was like, all right, well, I guess that's calm. Ship everything back to Northern Ireland. And then again, more karma, and I was flying back on holiday. I was going somewhere else the next day. I was like, I really need vacation now. So I booked one day in Belfast and then I was going to fly out of Belfast the next day, was going to ship all the equipment and then get JP on his flight and everything. And then I was going to go on my holiday. And we, we're doing all of our bits and bobs like 4 p.m. and we go to the big DHL place to ship everything back to JP in the States. And we go there and they're like, oh, did you pre-book? I'm like, no, I just want to ship all this shit. Like, oh, well, if you can't pre-book, then you can't ship it. And I was like, you guys close in like 2 hours. Like, and I have a flight tomorrow morning. Like, I need to ship all of this equipment. Oh, well, then you can't do that. Like, okay, well, what if I pre-book like right now on my phone? Like, well, you're going to need a printer to print the receipts and put them on the bags. Like, okay, well, can I use your printer? Let me call Susie. Call Susie. He's in his little booth. And I'm not even in DHL. There's this little booth to like let you into the DHL building. He calls Susie. Susie's in a very good mood. She's going to let you use her printer. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Susie. Go to the parking lot, pre-book all the thing, put all the information. I have all the ski equipment again, and it's like 52 by whatever, all that we measuring all the bags, telling them how big they are. We go through that whole process. Sorry, your bags are really big, and we don't ship that size of bags. Please talk to a representative. Like, okay, so go back to the booth. Again, there's like an hour's going by. So it's 5 o'clock. I close at 6. I'm like, okay, we tried to do this. It's not working. I need to just talk to a representative. It says here on the app that I can't. Like, okay, well, let's call Susie again. Call Susie. Susie, these guys have like 18 bags. Like, yeah, you're in a good mood? Okay. Susie's in a really good mood today. So she's going to let you in.
Thank you, Susie.
She's going to let you go into her office. Like, okay. So I roll into Susie's office with 24 boxes and bags and just shit. And she was like, that is the most amount of stuff anyone has ever asked me to ship. Like, yeah, I need to ship it. And then God bless Susie, she stayed like 2 extra hours with us. Like, I had to make a DHL or FedEx account, whatever. And at some point we do it. And I put it all in. And I was like, okay, so how much is it? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, you'll get an invoice from DHL in like 3 weeks. And I was like, well, I'd like to know.
Great.
I was like, how much is it? Like, anywhere between like $1,000 and $5,000. I was like, I can do $1,000. I really can't do $5,000. Like, no, well, you have to figure it out when okay. Well, Susie, we're friends now, right? We've been in here. You let me use your printer. You know, we've hung out for like 3 hours now. But between friends, if you and I are friends, how much would you say would be a friend price on these bags? Like, I can give you for 1,000. Okay, and so I get I got an invoice, a month later for 1,000. I was like, she put in.
I don't know what. Shout out to Susie.
Susie gave me the lowest price on those bags. I don't know what if she did. I don't know. But it just felt like it was this giant collaboration.
Okay, yeah.
And sorry, that was really long.
No, that was great. That is still. I mean, that is an awesome story. I think the movie is something every dodgeballer probably wants to see, and I think the whole hard blood and sweat that went into it is something that dodgeballers really can relate to.
Yeah.
And paying lots of money for stuff you just feel really just lots of emotions about is dodgeball. So I think the whole process just shouts dodgeball, and that's really awesome. I mean, I've seen what you did in Graz, and I was absolutely amazed by the amount of sweat and just effort you put into that thing that basically no one knows. And the whole spirit of your whole little tiny crew was so positive, and there was so many just good vibes there. So I think,
great vibes.
Yeah, that was
the very thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed every conversation, every little interaction we had, and I think that you absolutely deserve every karma you get. And you deserve to get much more for this movie.
There was some karmic element, I'm telling you. There's just so much stuff lined up. And it was like it totally could have failed. We showed up to Vienna because we'd rented this equipment from a very high-end company. And we got the invoice. It was super expensive. And I was like, okay, I can't afford that. So then we were going to go to this camera place and say, like, hey, we can't afford this crazy expensive thing. Can we rent like a fifth of what you're going to give us instead or something? But the plane was late and all this shit happened. So then we didn't even end up being able to go to this place because it closed. And so then we didn't have all the extra equipment. We needed a dolly. We needed, mirrors. We needed all this stuff that wouldn't fit in the already 72 bags we had. So we needed more, just a little bit to push us over the edge to make it great. And when we were in the airport, we're getting our bags, and JP recognizes the CEO of like camera mirrors. And he's like collecting his bag from some other flight. And he's like, that guy, you know who that guy is? I was like, I have no idea. He's like, that man produces the best camera mirrors ever. And I was like, okay. And he just goes and talks to this guy. And at this point, we'd missed we weren't going to be able to get our equipment. And he goes to the guy and he's like, oh, like, yeah, like I can give you like free stuff if you want it. I was like, where are you based? Like, I'm in Graz. I have a little, like, I rent out equipment from Graz. From my little light, it's called Lichtwerk. Like, and we swing by and just pick up stuff. He's like, what do you need? Like, we told him, like, we need this, we need poles, we need, we're doing interviews with people, so we need these things. He's like, yeah, just come by. I'll give it on the house, whatever you need. What? And so that was just like, that was another moment of like, they were so fucked, And this guy who was like his friend, because he wasn't even going to Graz, he was going somewhere else. His friend came in on a Sunday to let us into this building with all this stuff and was like, what do you want? Take what you want. And I'm like, okay. And so I took all this stuff, and then like I saw him like scanning each thing, and then the invoice was going up like 3K, 4K, 5K, 6K. I was like, dude, I don't have that money. He's like, well, no one's going to be using this stuff anyways. It's the middle of August. Everyone's on holiday. No one's making movies. We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Just take as much as you need. Well, what's your price? What's your like budget? And I told him my budget, and he said, okay, pay us that. That's fine. And it was just, moments like that where it just lined up. There's some JP meets, it's the CEO of mirrors.
That is absolutely, that's unreal.
So I don't even know the name of these mirrors or these reflectors. I wouldn't even mirror, reflectors are things that you can shine lights into, and then the light will bounce off, and then it'll like make a cool effect on an interview. It's like a nice, so we just got all these, so there's so many moments like that. And there's probably so many other moments that I'm forgetting,
All right. That is absolutely amazing. And that is really cinema. I love that. So, okay. So now you did all that. You did all the shooting there. Mm-hmm. You're in the editing process. So when can we see that movie?
I'm not in the editing. I'm working on other films currently. So I'm booked on other stuff. So even if I wanted to edit it right now, I had all the money to do it. I have other commitments to things that I need to finish because I've spent, years on these other projects, so I need to get them across the line. But what I'm looking to do is I'm trying to get, BBC and, I'm trying to just apply it to people and show them this sizzle reel that I made. I just made that, in my spare time, whatever moments I could find, if I had a day off, I was working on that thing. So whatever I could do to get that to the point where it is, it took me like 2 weeks of solid extra work, but I got that trailer done. And so now, and I have a pitch deck as well, which I didn't show you. It's like a 40-page PowerPoint presentation with each person. And this is why they're interesting. And this is why this person's married. This person's, works for the bank, and this guy's a doctor. So it's just like all these people do random stuff. And just showing that it's like a character-driven thing. So I've been sending the pitch deck. I've been applying for funding. So that whole process as a whole, that's my least favorite part, is asking people for money. I don't like asking people for money. It's kind of an embarrassing thing, to be honest, but you have to do it, and I don't have money to pay myself. And I've spent a lot of money too. So I also get reimbursed for all that money if I get funded, which is great because I need money back. And so that's a whole process. But then once that is done, and I have the money and I have a schedule, most films that I've worked on, I edit between 30 and 40 weeks. And directors I've worked with try to push that number down to 20, but it never ends up being 20. It's always at least 25, 28, 35, depends on the size of the project. Now, this project isn't so complicated. I've done projects on musicians where you have thousands of hours of archive of all of their music and all of their sheet music and their Grammy, and you have to watch all this shit. First thing, I already watched all this because I filmed all of it. So that's already a really big bonus. If I'm editing it, I'm already seen it, so it's helpful. But it's my own idea, and I kind of have a vision already, so maybe that can speed it up. So I've never made my own thing from scratch, absolutely from scratch. I mean, I've done student projects and stuff, but nothing to this level. This is like a whole other level of work. It's like it looks like a real fucking movie. I've never done something where it looks real. And it's a really nice feeling to have that. Just like, this is a movie. Not some shit, that you're going to see on YouTube. It's not something that you're going to you're going to watch it on, some crap website. Like, this is a movie, and we're going to make a movie. And that process to make a movie, not just some shit you slept together with your iPhone on iMovie, that takes between 30 to 35 weeks in my experience. So, if I hit the ground running, I can have it done by around when Euros would come out. Maybe longer, maybe less long if I can get my shit together more quickly and I can find the vision for the film more quickly. I can also, you can edit with multiple editors. So if I need it out faster, I can put 2 editors on it. So if you have 2 editors, instead of editing for 35 weeks, you work for 17 because you got 2 people doing the same thing. So it's like all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that's that process. It's long. And then after that, you have to do the mix and the color. That takes another 2 months. Then you have to talk to distributors. You have to do film festivals. So this is going to be 2 more years of this journey for me, basically. Between this and it being somewhere where you can watch it, I can send it to people or ask them for feedback. But where you can click on Netflix and watch it, that's like 2 years. It is a process. But to where it's done and I can show you a rough cut, I would say by August, I would hope.
Okay.
And I do need to show it to you because you have not signed a waiver for me to be able to use your face. So
we're going to make a lot of money. That's what I'm hearing.
I'm going to have to go through and get all the people to sign. Okay. Oh my God. If I filmed you, please sign the thing. I'd beg you. I have been so much. Just sign the damn waiver.
Just put it somewhere.
I'm not defaming anyone. It's a love documentary. It's a documentary about how love.
So if you listen to this, just sign his waiver. And give him money.
You need money. Another moment. I do need money, but not from you guys. I'll get money from.
If someone knows someone who has a media company or something and wants to get this movie faster, we gotta give you that money.
Another moment, was so dodgeball is like chess, in my opinion. And a lot of the players say that. It's like the way that pieces move and, it's very strategic. It's a slow game, but a fast game at the same time. It's like strategy and movement, but also very epic moments. And so it's very similar to chess where you got to move. There's different openings and different ways that you play and different tactics and all these things. And so what I wanted to do was like overlay a chessboard on the field and like intercut between chess and dodgeball. And I think that would, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but it might not work.
But it might look awesome.
It might look awesome. It might look whatever. It's when you're editing, you're free to. That's why it takes 35 weeks to explore these ideas, and then maybe all that chess shit goes out the window. It doesn't fucking work. So then when we were in Graz, we wanted to film some chess stuff, and there was a chess tournament happening in Graz. So we just rock up to this thing, but we were filming, you guys until God knows what hour. We showed up late. The chess tournament was over. We show up and we're like, there's no. But the guy who hosts it is like having a beer with his friends at in a little beer garden. Like, hey, we heard there's a chess tournament. Like, oh, everyone left like half an hour ago. We finished. Like, is there any way you can like pull out a chessboard again and like film? Like, we can just get some inserts. We want to like get the feeling of chess in Graz. And he's like, yeah, why not? So then he brings all the chess stuff back out, all these boards, sets them up in the whole bar. And then we just start asking people in the street, like, hey, there's a chess tournament. Do you want to come and play chess? And people were like, oh, okay. So then we got like 30 people.
Really?
Yeah. And they all just start playing chess at the beer garden. And then 4 dudes from the English dodgeball team are just in the street walking. Hey, you guys play dodgeball? Hey, yeah, like there's some really interesting dodgeball stuff happening here. You should come and look. And they're like, so we bring them over. It's just these 4 English guys. I've never met them. And it's like midnight, and we're at this table with them. And there's just a bunch of chess. Like, what is happening? Like, we're making a film about dodgeball. Like, can you guys play some chess for us? Like, okay. So we just sit them at a table. And the guy, I didn't know, the guy who was hosting the chess thing, that dude who got all the chess, is a chess grandmaster. So he's like the highest title. He's like a pretty good player. And so then, but these guys didn't know how to play chess. And this chess master didn't know how to play dodgeball. So it's like, let's get the chess master and let's get the dodgeball player and let's sit them at the same thing and let's have them play each other and have them explain how different scenarios that they're doing are like dodgeball. Okay, let's fucking do it. So we just put this chess grandmaster at the table with the 4 English players, and they have like a 2-hour long conversation about dodgeball. And like the meaning of the players, and he has this really great line where it's like never surrender or whatever. Like, even if you're down a full queen on your board, there's always ways to come back in a chess game. And if you lose that chess game, there's always the next one. Right. So it's like, even if you're down, never surrender. That's the thing. This chess master, like, oh, it's so interesting because in dodgeball, if you're down, 2-6, one big catch swings this, one mistake, one line, whatever it is, swings that match. And it was just such a and it was like, and so then I would put a chess piece of like, that's Smurf, one of the best players in the world. He's the queen, and there's 4 pawns, which is you guys. You're in 4 pawns, and it's the queen versus 4 pawns. How would you feel 4-on-1 against Smurf? Like, oh, terrified. Like, great. So all these funny moments that just lined up, and it was just super random.
Yeah, you're an absolute madman. I mean, that is just you can make this shit up.
No, it was so funny. It was just an out of body experience. I felt like I was high for like 3 weeks.
I'm feeling a little bit high just listening to all of this.
The cleaning.
Maybe it's the fumes that are getting to us. It's stronger and a little bit of them, but also the story. And that is just something completely different. That is like every situation you described, I'd feel really uncomfortable and it would not end up the same way. So I'm just really happy I was just there to play and you did all the crazy shit around that, because wow. So this has to become a movie that I can click on at Netflix, because
I hit the van into a wall. Like,
obviously you did.
I didn't know how to drive that thing, so I had to pay £500 to this insurance company for this.
Please give Gio money. I need to see this movie.
We're gonna make. I can't. I've done the hard part.
Yeah.
There's more hard parts.
You did a lot of hard parts, and
there's no way you're just flushing that down the toilet.
No,
no,
that whole story, it can't end like this in this basement with a lot of fumes and you passing out.
And I have a lot of people who just love this project. I have a director that I worked with that we worked on a project called Maestra. It's on Netflix if you guys want to watch it. It's about these women conductors in Paris, and they do a whole competition. And I was like, I love Maestra work and all this, and like I want to do that, like dodgeball. And she's so down. So she has a jersey. I got her with her last name on it, and she is like super down to help me. I have a couple people in Northern Ireland that have connection with BBC that are like, like, what if we do a 3-part series and we do Worlds 2026 and Euros and these people are like so down. So there's no money yet, but the feeling, again, it's all these,
it's just emotions.
I was
driving this.
I was in a toilet at a bar, and in Belfast, and it was like a month after the filming, and I'm like peeing, and some guy taps me on the shoulder while I'm like at the urinal, and I turn around, and it's this like producer friend of mine. He's like, "Gio, long time no see." I was like, I'm peeing. I was like, "What's up, dude?" And we go in the smoking area. I don't smoke, but you
socialize.
Yeah, but it's nice to pee in the smoking area. I go to the smoking area with this guy, and I start telling him all about dodgeball at like 2 a.m. And I start telling him everything that I've told you, and he's like, we got it. So now he's super down.
Awesome.
So, but then it's serendipitous. I'm peeing in a bar.
I was just infecting people.
Yeah.
And it was like, so look at a little bit of the dodgeball bug.
Yeah.
You have the big movie bug, and you're just infecting everyone around you.
Spreading the disease.
The karma and the world is just making it happen with you. And your energy, I think, is absolutely right for this project, because this is, to me, it's just complete madness.
It was insane, dude.
But that is so awesome.
Fail every day. And I felt like I was going to eat shit. So at some point, my luck was going to run out. Some guy's going to hit me in a car. The camera's going to fall and break. Something, and nothing terrible. The worst thing that happened is I hit a tree with the van at 3 miles per hour.
It wasn't a wall.
It was
5 seconds ago, and now it's a tree.
It was a bush.
It was a person.
It was a bush. No.
Or was it English?
It was the English person.
It was a producer. It was he would producer my whole movie. But I want more.
I killed him, and that's why he wants to.
Yeah, fair enough.
No, it was a bush. It was like midnight, and I was at the hotel where all the Northern Ireland players were, and I would go to the hotel every night and film them at the hotel, and just get all their meetings. And I was so exhausted. I mean, reversing out of this, and they're at this like really crap hotel in the middle of butt fucking nowhere. Like, really, you couldn't book a hotel somewhere closer. And then in the parking lot is as big as like your typical Austrian street. And I'm so tired, and I back up into a bush, and I hear it go. And I was like, oh, that's a morning problem. And in the morning, I look at the side of the car. I'm like, that's a problem for when I return the van. I don't know. And so that was the worst thing. And you know what? On the scale of terrible things that could have happened, if that's the worst thing, it's the same thing with the rain in Northern Ireland. If the worst thing in Northern Ireland is rain, then damn, I'm living great.
Awesome. Yeah. So hopefully the pink you broke in the beginning, like you build up all that karma because you showed you're a real dodgeballer. You don't fucking care. You break a pinky, and then the universe was just, you have to make this movie. You really have to make this movie.
I felt like I really had to. Ever since I put all those guys in the basement with the smoke machine and the thing and filmed them in slow-mo, I was like, there's something.
Yeah.
There's something here. I can't describe what it is. And now I can. It's been,
I can feel it.
But it's
I just saw that little trailer, and it's already epic.
Yeah, I hope so.
And it's,
I've got to convince people that it's epic, and I got to convince people to give me a lot of money.
Yeah. So again, everyone who is listening to this, give Gio money, or find someone who gives Gio money.
Or keep playing dodgeball.
And keep playing dodgeball. Bump into people at the urinal and tell him about Gio and his project.
Yeah. You know, the writer from Dodgeball, the movie, was at the World Cup.
What?
Yeah. Jordan Savino.
Wait. What? Yeah, I saw that in a comment somewhere.
If you look in the background of that picture.
Didn't he, commentate for a...
But he's writing the second one. And I sent it to his agent. I sent him that thing to his agent.
I was like, I've already done that.
Yeah. I was like, I'm making Dodgeball 2, the fucking documentary. But if you look at, there's this picture of him and like the head of Dodgeball, World Dodgeball Association, or WDDA or whatever. And there's the picture of the two of them, and they're in the stands and they're taking a selfie. And in between them is the two heads. And in between, there's a man with his camo pants on with a massive fucking camera, and it's me. And I'm right there. And it's me just sitting in the middle. I was like, that's such a funny picture, because I'm just like standing right in the middle of the two of them in the background.
So that's a sign.
The
stars are aligning.
And again, super shout out to JP and Teresa and Lily and Auto Drone Pilot. He was amazing. It was an experience, and I hope that I can share it with everybody at some point in the future.
I think,
and this was if anyone listening to this helped me in any way, whether it was an interview or a moment, I just want you to know there's not enough people for me to thank, but I just want to say thank you, because without people wanting to do this, I could not have done this alone.
But behalf on the behalf of the dodgeball community, we just have to thank you and GP and everyone who's been involved in this.
And he was the MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. The mob was the MVP, but JP was a close second. But the mob was the MVP of this world. But I think everyone who's like bumped into you at the urinal and everything, just thank you for everyone, and please make this movie happen, because we're happy to be a part of it, and if we can help, I think the dodgeball community is ready to help, because this is an absolute love project. And
like Northern Ireland lost to you guys, and
I'm sorry for that. Now after that story, I'm sorry for the
fucking movie, bro.
When you started,
why did you make that fucking catch? Stop that! You ruined it.
It was a personal thing.
I could have made a great movie.
Obviously, you did, but you didn't tell me. So
now you know. So
I can roll with
Euros. You better fucking lose.
Yeah, I can't. Now I can't, guys. And you can just take the other side and come to Austria and film with us.
That. We have the backstage of you guys setting up for it from and this one too. So
okay, so
we have some. So in the end, the story is a good one. I think it's going to pay off. It's like when you guys won that whatever semis down. Yeah, and Josh and the guys were just so devastated.
Yeah,
that right. And I'm like, hey guys, I know you just lost,
but it's just dodgeball.
Tomorrow is free now. You don't have to do anything. You're not busy. Can I get you to come to a train station and do a photo shoot at the train station with me? And Josh was like,
fuck you,
motherfucker. I could tell he really didn't, but he did it.
Yeah,
he wanted me. It was Alex and Josh, and they went to the train station. We did this like thing at the train station of them like arriving to Graz. And this whole thing, and we've been asking for days and days, and then they lost.
Yeah,
I was like, Grable, now you don't
have to say on fault.
You're not playing anymore.
I would have been at the and I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, we would have exactly. I was like, look, you guys aren't playing tomorrow. Chilling, you're having Coca-Cola by the fucking stand. It's great. So let's go to the train station tomorrow. And they were down, and so that's the energy.
Now I absolutely know why people love you. You just show up in the right situations, and you just know how to read a room. So that is that.
You gotta just.
So I'm a little bit sorry for that. I'm obviously not really sorry.
No, I'm happy that you guys. It was a great ending to a great story. It's a great story. It doesn't matter that the story is not about winning or losing. It's about these people. Yeah, dedicating. It's like those people from when I told you an hour ago, or whatever. And you're at this table, and all these people come out of the woodwork, and I married my wife, and it's like this is great. And I'm I tell that, and whether you win or lose, that doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. I think, and that's a really, really big takeaway for dodgeball in the end. So win or lose, it's always awesome to win, and it always sucks to lose in the situation. But what stays with you is the whole experience, all the memories you make at the urinal, in the semifinal, wherever it is, and it doesn't matter. So I've made so many good dodgeball memories at the urinal. Basically, have you been to the after party?
I know that you guys go in the toilet. I didn't go. I felt it's a very big debate in my head. Should we film the after party? And I was like, no.
You probably shouldn't if it goes on Netflix, but you probably should have. So basically, the urinal is a really good place. There's the gentleman's club and gentlewomen's club now as well. So we got thrown out of there a lot of times, and I think some people had to leave the party, but it was still worth it. And I think dodgeball is really about those moments in between. And when I lose, we've all lost and won a lot. And I think it always sucks. And I've talked to Adam and Josh after the World Cup, obviously. And losing something like that really sucks on an individual basis, but you come back to the community. And that's what you said, where like the players who've been playing before and coming back to those socials and still are in it. Everyone's in it with their own money and just for the fun of it. And the community, at least up to this point, it's all about the community. And I think and about the individuals in that community that make dodgeball that great. And I think you as a filmmaker or an editor or a producer or whatever fit just perfectly. And I'm really looking forward. I don't mind. If it takes 1 year, 2 years, I don't mind. I just want to see it happen.
And if anyone has any footage from the World Cup or audio or whatever the fuck that you have and you want to send it,
don't open that box.
Send me stuff. I will accept anything.
Okay.
Because all the little bits and all the little pieces
from the after party. Send some stuff from your gentleman's club.
No gentleman's club. I don't want that in the movie. I'm not here to defame you. It's and we'll be back for more, and hopefully we can make a 3-part thing. I don't know. And
Yeah, gee, I think that is a great ending. And if the movie ever comes out,
it will.
we're gonna definitely. I don't know
I'll
if it comes out and when it
YouTube.
comes
I'll
out.
release it on YouTube.
Yeah.
If it really hits the fan, but
No, it
I'm
won't.
not going to do that.
No, it
That
won't.
would be such a war crime.
Yeah.
After all that, and you make it a
and then you're gonna come back on and tell some more stories.
Yeah.
What happened from now till then?
Yeah.
How the Dodgeball community
Really
came. We just make a Kickstarter or something like that.
I was really debating that at the beginning of the film. You know, when I was coming to Grouse, like put QR codes and put it around the stadium and say we're doing this thing. JP had a really great point. He was like, bite the bullet. Just what are you gonna get? A couple grand?
Yeah.
Just bite the fucking bullet on this.
So that's plan C.
Yeah, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna put these QR codes around. People are gonna know what we're doing. People are gonna and they're gonna view us differently.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely good thing that,
we want to be, he says, we want to be like ninjas. We want to be in there. We want to go in and we want to
He was a real ninja. I could see him, but he was an absolute ninja.
Yeah.
On the field, off the field.
We don't want to get in anyone's way. We don't want to tell them we're here. We don't want to tell them why we're here. We are just filming. They have no clue who the fuck we are, you know? Same, and this is, again, another moment. I hired the drone pilot, right, from Milan. He flies up. He's like, do you have permits to fly the drone? Can you contact the Austrian authorities? So I call the Austrian drone authority with my terrible German. How do I need to do like this? I say whatever I can in my shitty Austrian German. And they're like, oh, well, like, you know, it takes like a month to process your inquiry. And I was like, I have like 2 weeks, so I don't have time for that. So the guy's like, do you have the permits? I was like, no. And he was like, okay, well, I'll come up anyways. And if the police show up, then like, whatever. So we start filming the thing from the outside. And like, okay, well, now I have to shoot the inside. And he's like, do you have permission to shoot the inside of the drone? Like, throw it up in the air. Fly it around the thing.
It's always easier to say sorry.
I don't ask for permission. Don't ask for permission. Ask for it. Just let's go in the fucking thing. Throw the drone in the air. We'll get 5 minutes. That's all I need. I need 5 minutes. So we put the drone, and soon enough, someone comes up to me. Is that your drone flying around in the stadium? I'm like, yeah, that's my drone. Can you get a couple extra shots for me? I need a shot of this and the flag, and you know, maybe some of the players. I was like, want me to fly it more? Like, yeah. Can you tell them to do some more things? Like, so you don't give a fuck that I'm flying the drone in this thing, and that drone is like, yeah, just do it. Like, okay. Cool.
There's flying in there.
Yeah. And, you know, I think they were just excited, and people were like seeing that we were showing up with gear and
absolutely
ready to do it. And it was just like, and they were so down. Like, this guy showed up with a drone pilot. Okay.
Absolutely awesome.
Let's fly it around the room, you know, let's do it.
Awesome.
So anyways, that's my last story. I promise.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, so I think there are going to be a few stories in the future.
Absolutely. So we can do a part 2 if you want.
We're going to do a part 2, definitely. This one's been
how long?
1 hour and 20 minutes. That's a really good time. I think we're going to wrap it up here. And we have another game of the women's now, which I have to coach. We're going to get out of those fumes and this.
Yeah. I'm going you need a retriever?
Probably.
Okay.
Knees still up for it?
My knees are up for it. I'm putting the stinky knee pads.
Don't put them on.
Don't put them on. Okay.
Leave them here in the...
Leave them in the fuse. Yeah, maybe we need to bleach them after that.
Yeah. We got enough stuff to clean them up. So,
well, we're going to go retrieve and we're going to go play a game.
Yeah.
We're going to watch Gio and then whoop some ass.
Yes, whoop some Wolfpack ass. And Gio, thank you for coming here to Austria.
Of course.
This is my first in-person podcast. So we did an interview at Graz. We did an interview here in the basement. So it comes full circle. And we're going to do an interview in about half a year when you are on the red carpet at the Biennale or something. So
we're going to Cannes, baby.
Yeah, or to Cannes. So thank you, and keep throwing those balls, try not to get caught, and take care, everybody. That is Chia and me. We're signing out from the basement.
Hell yeah.